Today I am refuting the proposition that the ability for public school teachers to receive tenure negatively affects California's public education system. My opponent's secondary claims were: first, tenure negatively affects the quality of education students receive, and second, tenure negatively affects administration's ability to get rid of bad teachers. To start off, Proposition 74, the teacher tenure proposition, stated that tenure is the only way to ensure there will be enough teachers to instruct more than 6 million students in California. The first secondary claim was tenure negatively affects the quality of education a student receives. By saying this, he commits a false cause because it is not just the teacher to blame for the student's quality of education. Students can choose not to listen to the teacher, skip class, or even disrupt it, which affects the whole class. Also, the teachers are restricted to a specific curriculum that sets a limit to what he or she can teach. Take, for example, the Los Angeles Unified School District. Each teacher in the LAUSD is to teach the same thing at each grade level because they are required to follow a specific curriculum developed by the Board of Education. Then he compares an LA Times statistic that 98% of teachers who receive tenure after 2 years of a probationary period to drafting NFL players that are ineligible and signing them to long-term contracts. This is a false analogy by means that teachers and the NFL are very different. NFL players work together as a team with other NFL players and receive coaching to get better while gaining knowledge that is only relevant to football. On the other hand, teachers don't work with a team, they work on their own, constructing a plan to educate their students with lifelong knowledge. Also, teachers are more educated than NFL players because teachers have to go through much more school than NFL players who just received their AA degree or bachelor's. He also states tenure eliminates the teachers staying motivated to perform well in the classroom. By saying this, he is making a sweeping generalization because not all teachers are just in it for the tenure status. If a teacher knows he or she is not under review or criticism, he or she will be more relaxed and try new methods of teaching that can benefit the students in the long run. For example, instead of just lecturing to the class and writing on the board, which is how most teachers would teach when being reviewed, he or she will make it interactive with the students to keep them awake and relate the subjects to the students. Secondly, he claims tenure negatively affects the administration's ability to remove bad teachers. He first states tenure makes it virtually impossible to be fired. The use of the word impossible seems very drastic by means that any teacher who doesn't teach well enough can be removed with enough force from the opposing party. To support his claim, he used the survey released by the education sector, claiming more than half the teachers say it's way too difficult to weed out ineffective teachers. The education sector did not specify which teachers participated in the survey. It may have included college professors and grade school teachers, or one or the other. Both categories of teachers are very different when it comes to teaching. Because there are a lot of teachers in California, the teachers who participated in the survey play an important role because those involved could have been part of the ineffective category of teachers, as well as not being qualified to give such an opinion. Also, the use of the word ineffective has different meanings to different critics of teachers. Next, he states building a case for dismissal is so time-consuming and costly. This is not true because, according to Time magazine, there is no such thing as lifetime tenure in any public school. Even after receiving tenure, teachers still undergo review and can continue to be under analysis if evaluations are negative. Although teacher tenure has been a growing issue since enacted in California, tenure helps to provide more teachers to students and create a smaller teacher-to-student ratio that benefits the student's education. Thank you.
loud.
All right, the labeling and structure is pretty clear. The background information on Prop 74 I didn't think was as clarifying as it ought to be. You signpost as you get to the first point, that's okay. I think you've got a good idea about counter-causalities, about why students don't succeed, but I don't think you get much out of that. In other words, the notion that it's teacher tenure that results in the problems for students. There are lots of ways to talk about problems in the classroom, and the notion that tenure is the biggest part, I think that could put it in perspective, but you don't generate much information on that point. I think you've got a good idea there. On your challenge to the analogy with the NFL, I think you're kind of committing the fallacy of hypostatization here. It's a figure of speech that they're making there. They don't really mean literally that they are the same kinds of things. And the things that you focus on the differences, I don't know that that advances your point very much. A stronger argument to make would be, what's the washout rate in the NFL versus the washout rate for teachers? The truth of the matter is that there's a pretty good statistic that suggests that almost half of the teachers that go into teaching leave the discipline in a pretty short time. After a couple of years, they go, enough of that. And it's got less to do with not getting tenure and more to do with, holy criminy, what a crappy job they've got. All right. I thought the transition to the second point was pretty clear. You've got a challenge on some of the reasoning that the advocate's using, and that's okay. It's kind of a technical point that you're making. I'm just not sure that it gets you very much. The press that you have on the survey that the advocate used, I don't know. It's the kind of thing that you could say immediately after you heard an argument, but having had some time to research it, it seems like you should have something a little bit stronger. All right, thank you.